Welcome back to How to Become a Freelancer in 30 Days. This is Anthony Chatfield, and today, on day 17, we're going to talk about creating additional profiles based on your skills and some of the other websites that are out there. So the goals for today are to create a more targeted presence online and diversify where people can find you, basically so we're not reliant on only one source. When we first got started, I only really talked about Elance and Odesk, mostly because they're the biggest option out there, and that's kind of to make it as easy as possible for everybody watching this to get in. But the problem with them being the biggest is that they're also the most watered down. There's a lot of people on there. You're competing with a lot of different people who maybe don't have the same skills as you, but it's very hard to showcase those skills in such a crowded marketplace. So today we're going to talk about more general sites for all freelancers. We're also going to talk about some more specific sites based on your skill set and how you can start building out a portfolio of profiles that will help you get more work from across a spectrum of different places. It's also important because then you're not reliant on any one website. If one website goes down or gets purchased or merges or whatever happens, you don't immediately lose out on all of your work source. So to get started, here are some general websites for all freelancers. Elance and Odesk, of course. And Odesk recently rebranded. Actually, in the middle of recording these, they rebranded. So you're not going to find Odesk anymore. You're going to find At Work, I believe. That's it's still part of the same brand, and they're all owned by the same company. It's Elance. So you'll find both of those kind of the same. It's a different pool of freelancers that you're competing against and a different pool of people buying, but it's the same general idea. Freelancer.com is, again, the same idea. They're a little bit smaller in scope. What I always found there is that the projects were smaller and paid less, but they're more numerous and generally more international. So if you're getting started, that means there's a lot of opportunities, but it's maybe not the kind of work you're looking for. It's worth looking at. It really depends on your skills, what you want to get out of it. Freelancer.com, they also own Warrior Forum. So you can find, Warrior Forum is basically this maybe 15 years old now, online forum for internet marketers. And there is a fair share of stuff on there that's a little more on the get rich quick side of things. Not that anything like that actually works, but that's the mindset, is people go on there to find out how to make money online. But there's also a lot of professionals on there. There's copywriting forums and YouTube forums and work for hire forums. So you can actually get a lot of work on there, and I have in the past. It's just a matter of not buying into the hype at times, and I would recommend staying away from the Warrior special offers, at least until you start making some money, because they can be very tempting, and you don't want to spend before you earn. Fiverr is a great place to put up micro gigs, little $5 projects you can do really fast. You're not going to make a ton of money doing this, but you might make some great contacts, and it helps you build your portfolio. It really depends on what you offer. You can charge more than $5. There are ways to do that, but it's a matter of if you have a good hook, because there's so many people on there at this point. And then Craigslist is it's the all-time classic local marketplace. My first two real freelance projects were through Craigslist. So I always put that on the list, even though it's really not that great of a place to find, quality, quantity freelance projects. It does offer a lot of opportunities, some of them better than others, but there is stuff on there if you look for it. Now, for those of you who have a specialty, which hopefully is a lot of you, there are a lot of specific websites you can go to that allow you to customize, the kind of work that you're bidding on or that people find you for. So I've listed just a few here. There are literally dozens for every type of work you might do. But for example, if you're a writer, there's Writer Access. They pay upwards of 6 cents a word. They pay upwards of 10 cents a word, but you get a fraction of that depending on what they offer. They're very strict. A lot of these are very strict on who they allow on board, which is a good thing, because if you're a quality writer and you can get on, then you have basically that backing that you've gone through their tests and you've passed their minimum bar and you're up to their pay scale that you want to be at. So Writer Access, Scripted, Contently, iWriter, all of these sites kind of follow that model. TextBroker is a little bit lower key. You really don't get paid that much there. It's a lot easier to get in, and it's more of an open marketplace. So there'll be a lot of projects just listed there. You can just take them and do them, but you won't get paid $20, $30 an article. You'll get paid more like $10. So it really depends on what you want to get and how quickly you need to make money, but there are a lot of great options out there just for writers. so you don't really need to fight through the morass on Elance if that's the case. On the design side, the big trend in recent years has been this kind of 99 Designs focus. And what 99 Designs does is somebody will post a project for however much money they want to pay. It'll be a lot for not necessarily for you, but for them. And a lot of people will submit potential designs, and they'll pick somebody to win kind of that bid project, and that person will get paid. So there might be a lot of ways to not get paid for your work here, but it helps you build your portfolio. So if you're trying to build a portfolio, it's a good place to go. There's a lot of credibility that comes out of winning these bids by having the best design. It depends. It depends on the kind of work you do. It depends on how competitive it is, how many people submit designs. CrowdSpring is similar. Logo My Way, Design Crowd. These are all great sites for those things. Just make sure you pay attention to the rules and the terms of service and see exactly how and when you're going to get paid for your work. You don't want to devalue what you do, but it's also worth kind of just getting out there and doing something and getting used to having to work off those specifications. These sites will help you do that. If you're a developer, there are millions of marketplaces. It should be very easy for you to find a listing based on your specific development skills. Scriptlance, SitePoint Marketplace, Joomlancers, Programmer Meet Designer, all awesome sites. There are specific marketplaces based on the coding language you use, on what you're building. The spectrum here. So make sure you do your research. Don't just rely on sites like Freelancer or Odesk or Elance. You can get a lot of stuff more directly, especially if you're an expert in something like Drupal or WordPress development or PHP or JavaScript, whatever it is. The more specific, the harder it is to find people like that, and the more valuable your skills. And then there's a lot of other stuff too. So, for example, voices.com is great if you do voiceover work. There are virtual assistant agencies, and a lot of these, if you Google them, will be people who live overseas, but there are a lot of them as well who are local. Plenty of people will only hire virtual assistants who are local to them for a variety of reasons. Time zone being one of the most primary. So look those up. That's a great quick way to start making money. You can get paid hourly for your work. And then as you go through all these, create a list of job boards in specific fields. You can create a spreadsheet or a Trello board, whatever you want to do, and then kind of have that list there so that when you're looking for work, you can go through it one by one. So you don't just live all day on Elance. A lot of these sites have, if you go to freelancing sites, major freelancing sites like Freelance Folder or Freelance Switch, you'll find lists like this. You can find tips and resources for finding new work. You'll also find great tips for increasing your rates, finding new projects, and growing beyond your comfort zone. These are very important aspects of freelancing. They're not really part of the getting started, the 30 days here, but it's definitely something we're going to talk about towards the end and as a supplement to this program, because once you get your feet under you and you start making some money, the next thing you're going to think is, well, how do I get paid more money? How do I find new projects? How do I build my portfolio? Those are things you always want to be thinking about, and here we'll talk about how to keep doing that. All right, so for today's actions, choose one or two sites within your niche and create a new profile on those sites. Start bidding on projects as you've been bidding, but on these new sites, and add them to that spreadsheet that you've been using to measure your results. And then take notes of rates and expectations on these sites. See what people are willing to pay, see what they expect you to do, and make sure you're able to follow up on that. All right, so that's everything for today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Let me know directly if you want to talk further about any of the topics in here. And if you haven't yet, leave a review for the program as a whole. I very much appreciate your feedback. All right, so that's everything for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.